Every time you go shopping, you make a simple act of faith. You trust that the price you see on the shelf is the price you're actually going to pay at the register. But what if that trust is being broken way more often than any of us realize? It really boils down to this simple question, right? Does the barcode scanner agree with the little price tag? Most of us, we just assume it does. But a huge new national survey suggests that that little assumption, well, it could be costing you. Take a look at this number, 23%. Just let that sit there for a second. It feels kind of high, doesn't it? But what is that 23%? Of what exactly? Well, that's the number of retail stores that straight up failed their price accuracy inspections. According to a massive 2024 survey from the National Conference on Weights and Measures, or NCWM, almost 1 out of every 4 stores they checked had pricing errors. And they checked a lot, over 400,000 items in thousands of stores. The results were pretty eye-opening. So yeah, this isn't just a handful of random mistakes. We're talking about a really common problem. So let's dig into this a little deeper and see where these errors are popping up and, what kind of mistakes we're even talking about. And it turns out where you shop really matters. Not all stores are created equal here. At the bottom of the list, you've got convenience stores, where a full third of them failed the inspection. Oof, dollar and discount stores weren't that much better. But on the flip side, warehouse clubs and clothing stores, they had the best records, with almost 90% getting a passing grade. And get this, the type of mistake changes depending on the store, too. The survey found that convenience stores are way more likely to overcharge you, meaning you pay more at the checkout than what the shelf price said. But supercenters, they actually made more mistakes in our favor, with more undercharges than overcharges. So hey, it's not always bad for us, but some stores definitely have a pattern. And this is where it gets kind of wild. In the stores that made more mistakes against the customer, the members get really skewed. For nearly half of them, they were ringing up overcharges at twice the rate of undercharges. And for more than a fifth of them, that ratio was more than 3 to 1. That's not just a random slip-up. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The report itself calls this out. When you see lopsided ratios like that, it's a huge red flag. It points to something being fundamentally broken in how that store handles its prices, not just a one-off typo. Okay, so that's the story in our physical brick-and-mortar stores. But let's completely switch gears now. Let's jump in to the online world, where the scale of this problem is, well, it's on a whole other planet. With giant e-commerce marketplaces, the issue isn't keeping a few hundred price tags up to date. Oh no. It's trying to manage a literal tidal wave of data coming from thousands of different sellers all at once, all the time. 100 million! That's roughly how many price updates a huge marketplace like Walmart has to process every single day. Just trying to manage that fire hose of information is an absolutely monumental challenge. And it is so much more complicated than a physical store. I mean, there's no single store manager calling the shots. You've got data coming from all over the place, and honestly, some of it is just unreliable. Let one crazy price slip through and you can wreck customer trust. But if you're too aggressive, you might accidentally boot a totally legitimate seller. It's a very, very tricky balancing act. So how in the world do you solve a problem that big? You can't exactly send inspectors with clipboards to check 100 million prices online. So you build something else. You build an AI price cop. And we're going to peek under the hood of one of these systems. The whole thing works because of this one core idea, the anchor price. The easiest way to think about it is like a sanity check. The AI basically looks around the internet and collects a bunch of reference prices for an item. What are competitors selling it for? What do the manufacturers suggest? Those prices become anchors that help it figure out what's a reasonable price. So here's the game plan, in a nutshell. First, the AI gathers up all the anchor prices it can find. Then, and this is the really clever bit, it actually checks the anchors themselves for mistakes. It throws out any that look weird or just plain wrong. After that, it weighs the good, reliable anchors that are left and uses them to calculate a final ceiling price. That becomes the absolute maximum a seller can list that item for. Anything higher, blocked automatically. And I want to be clear, this isn't just some theory. This is the actual architecture for a real system called MoPlus. It's the AI price cop that Walmart uses. It's a seriously complex machine working non-stop in the background to keep prices fair. But here's the rub. The AI has to be incredibly precise, because if it sets that ceiling price just a little too low, it could end up blocking a perfectly reasonable product from an honest seller. And when that happens, you start to lose the trust of the very people who make your marketplace work. It's this constant high-stakes balancing act. So we've basically looked at two completely different worlds, right? We've got the physical store with its very human inspections and the huge digital marketplace that's being policed by algorithms. Let's bring it all together for the final checkout. When you put them side by side, the contrast is just stark. The inspector with a clipboard is reactive. They catch mistakes after they've already happened. But the algorithm's code is preventative. It's designed to stop the error from ever seeing the light of day. One is manual and local. The other is automated and global. They're both fighting the same battle, just with totally different weapons. And, at the end of the day, that goal has always been equity in the marketplace. In fact, that's the official motto of the same group that did the Big Store survey. It doesn't really matter if the tool is a person or a piece of sophisticated AI, the mission stays the same. Make sure everybody gets a fair shake, both the shopper and the seller. So if there's one big thing to take away from all this, it's that getting the price right is a relentless, ongoing challenge. It doesn't matter if the mistake comes from a tired employee with a pricing gun or a tiny glitch in a massive stream of data. The fight for accuracy is happening all the time, on every shelf and every single web page. Which really leaves us with one final big question to think about. We've seen that people make mistakes, and we've seen that algorithms can make mistakes too. But as this technology gets smarter and smarter, who are you ultimately going to trust more to get the price right? A person or an algorithm?